Don, we've got a lot of excitement down here in the pits right now. A brand new boat, Cellular One, gets in about 4 o'clock this morning. Race day, qualifies at an unofficial 1:14. Steve Reynolds, that's amazing.
Piece of cake, piece of cake. I mean, we only drove 72 hours to get here at 5 in the morning to put the boat in the show.
Well, you know, you've got some challenges now. You know that the Budweiser with the turbine and the Miller American, they've been testing more than you. How do you feel about that?
You know, those are things I don't have an awful lot of control over, Jim. We went out to just put the boat in the show. Now we'll start fine-tuning it. We got a ways to go yet. I'm pleased. 114 right out of the box. Not bad.
Not bad. Now, let's check out.
Steve Reynolds, like Rockwell, feels this system developed by Dennis Carlson of Michigan is the best way to go. Steve, does this thing work?
I'll tell you what, Don, without this, I think the cockpit temperature, to me, would more than likely be right around 130 or 40 degrees. Circulating, you know, the cold water through this and through the piece that goes around inside your helmet, around your head. When we had gone down in the heat out there, I was comfortable. I just plugged the cool suit in, sat in the deck, and laid in the sun.
You know, you've got Chip down here who says, I'd rather have air conditioning because I don't have as many tubes if I got to get out in a hurry.
A matter of preference. If he's concerned about getting out, mine are located in such a place where it's not going to be a problem. They have quick disconnects on them. You know, they snap in and out very easily. If that's his concern, that's his choice not to wear them. Frankly, I wouldn't drive without one.
You don't have them on the arms.
No, I really don't think it's necessary. Where I really feel the heat is especially around the head. And with this cap going on, it's almost a rush of cold water when it goes. It can give you a headache.
You're a knockout with it on, too.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, Don, you set the theme. I'm excited. I think the competition is going to be great. Miller American, Chip Hanauer. What about the psychological battles going on the last couple of days in qualifying? Speed after speed after speed.
Well, on Miller's behalf, no psychological battles. We've just been trying to get the Miller American straightened away and make it as race ready as we can.
Now, this guy next to me is a little sneaky because he's sitting here about 127.2. We know you've got more than that, Mr. Steve Reynolds.
Well, the whole thing about this race is to race yourself. You know, you've got to get yourself prepared first. And this is the second race for the Cellular One, and we're taking it a stage at a time. Jim wants to be a little bit conservative, but I hope he turns me loose, you know, today come final heat time.
Good competition. Let's hope it's a good...
The High Performance Corner. A closer look at the fastest race boats in the world.
Hi, I'm Steve Reynolds, driver of the Cellular One. And this week, for Performance Corner, I'm going to give you a tour of the cockpit and show you exactly what I go through in starting one of these turbine engines. The first thing we want to take a look at is the electrical panel right here at the top of the canopy. It's very simple. Even though these boats have become more complicated, the cockpit arrangement has become extremely simple. We have a master switch. Here's the strobe light, fuel pump, exhaust gas temperature, start fuel, starter and generator, the igniters, and of course the fire switch right here. The gauges are laid out in a very simple array so that at a glance I can tell whether the gauges are normal or not. And now I'll take you through a starting procedure. With the brake locked, right over here, we lock the brake. I come on with the master switch. We'll turn the boost pump on. We'll turn the igniters on. We'll turn the EG key gauge on. Right there, the exhaust gas temperature gives me a reading. Then I'll come down on the start generator, the start fuel. At approximately 6%, the engine should come on to main fuel. At that point, I can start getting off of the start fuel, staying on the start generator. At about 40%, the engine will go on to total main fuel. I can release the start generator, putting it up into the generator mode, which charges the batteries, and turn the igniters off. The engine is now self-sustained. We release the brake, and we're off and running. Very simple.
Steve Reynolds already in the cockpit of the Cellular One, heading out for a date with Ron Snyder and Chip Hanauer in the Miller American. Beautiful new boat with that huge air intake above that Lycoming turbine engine. Ron Snyder heading out in the U6, the Holson Miss Madison. Let's get a word from Jim Lucero. Jim, is your day progressing like you'd hoped?
Yeah, we're fairly pleased so far. We haven't had any major problems, and what we're trying to do, since we have so little time on the boat, is get Steve a fair amount of actual racing experience. We didn't get much down in Miami. We're trying to learn a little bit each heat and be better prepared for the final.
Jim Lucero's driver will get a good workout here in 2B as the Cellular One goes against Miller American, Holson Miss Madison, and Thor Racing. As we go now, the boat's setting up, the top four around the turn. Here's the Miller American swinging outside, either that or the Cellular One cutting in, but Steve Reynolds got a bit of the Miller American rooster tail. He is way back at the start. Look who's right on the button again. Ron Snyder, Chip Hanauer at the start of E2B. There goes Reynolds in the Cellular One. Thor Racing is back. Now the race into the first turn. Snyder in great position in lane number 1. The Miller American, though, with better boat speed in lane 2 and taking a slight lead as they go down the back straightaway. Chip Hanauer in the brand new Miller American in first place. Miss Madison second. Cellular 1 and Steve Reynolds starting to close in third. He's a rooster tail, at least a rooster tail back. Look at Snyder moving up on the inside in the Miss Madison, trying to hold on to lane number 1, going against the quicker turbine as he goes around the turn. Look at, he couldn't hold on to his lane and gets washed down by the Miller rooster tail. He falls back, but somehow he keeps the engine going. Falling into third place, Snyder in the Miss Madison, but he's still going. Second place now the Cellular 1. In first place, that boat, Chip Hanauer and the Miller American after lap number 1. Miller in first, a speed of 117 miles per hour. An average speed. Steve Woomer on the left, the owner of the Cellular 1 as they go down the main straightaway. He brought on Jim Lucero to head up his team to build him a boat to make him more competitive. And now they're having a chance to see what they can do against a legitimate champion in Chip Hanauer and the Miller American. The Cellular 1 is closing the gap. Reynolds holding on to the outside. In third place, Snyder out of the state of Ohio. Hardy's now an associate sponsor for the Miss Madison. Now look at the Cellular 1 challenging on the outside. Miller in lane number 1. Third place still Snyder as he goes into the turn. Now it's a matchup between the two brand new turbines. Cellular 1 on the outside. Reynolds, Hanauer in the Miller American on the inside, hitting speeds of better than 180, 185. Look how light the Cellular 1 is getting. They've still got to trim this boat. Remember, it's right out of the box. They have not had a chance to trim it like they want to. They like the power, but it's still a little too light, and you saw why right there. Miller with a half a boat length lead. Hanauer trying to push Reynolds to the outside. Look how close they are side by side. Cellular 1 now with a slight lead, completing lap number 2. Reynolds speed up to 124 miles per hour after going 117 in lap number 1. Lucero and Walters, the brain trust of this Cellular 1 team, watching on as their driver, Steve Reynolds, trying to become one of the major threats now in unlimited hydroplane racing into the first turn here on lap number 3. He has second place. And check that, first place, second place the Miller, third place Ron Snyder and the Miss Madison. And now the Cellular 1 beginning to stretch it out, better than a rooster tail lead over the Miller. Steve Reynolds, he knows he doesn't have the experience to match a Chip Hanauer or Jim Cropfield at competing at those ultra-high speeds. As a result, Jim Lucero has sent him to school. He has studied all winter. He has gone to the Jim Russell Auto Racing School down in Laguna Seca, much like Chip Hanauer, who went to the Bob Bondurant School down in the Bay Area as well. But these drivers are trying to become better by taking lessons in the off-season in auto racing. Ron Madison in third place. Again, the slight dog leg. You see the boat jump like that to the left. That's because Steve says this boat is so responsive, you barely tug at that steering wheel and it moves that quickly. It is so responsive, he simply has to get used to it. Miller American now in second place. Steve Reynolds in first place with the Cellular 1. Again into the second turn now. A beautiful shot from our camera up on the shore, showing you that huge scoop that not only brings in air, but separates water from the air to come in for that Lycoming 7 engine. The checkered flag waiting for Steve Reynolds in his first heat victory of 1987. Cellular 1, first place on a come-up from behind victory over the Miller American, second to Chip
Reynolds, I don't know what happened at the start of that heat, just before you started, but you got your licks in and went on to win.
Well, it kind of looks like we're going to have to play this game pretty tough. I mean, the Miller American and the Cellular 1 just about bumped there. I don't know whether he had room to get in there or not. If the referees did make a call, then he obviously had room to get in. Yeah, questionable judgment. That's okay. I'm here to play the game the same way.
When did you decide to really go after him?
About 2 minutes before the start.
Okay, good angle. Thank you, Steve. Don?